In late 2010 and again in early 2011, our region was significantly impacted by flooding. While flooding has environmental benefits, such as providing water to our stressed rivers and wetlands, the extent experienced caused immense stress and hardship upon individuals, communities and infrastructure. After the flood events, an organised and strategic approach was required to restore the natural environment and support communities in flood recovery. To assist in this immense task, the Victorian Government, through the Department of Sustainability and Environment, provided funding to the North Central CMA to establish an on-ground works program, the Flood Recovery Employment Program, or FREP. A main objective of FREP was to employ individuals who were directly affected by flooding. These 64 participants went on to complete a range of activities which directly contributed to the development, enhancement and repair of environmental assets in their communities across the region.
There's been up to 64 people employed throughout the program since then. Been working across the region from the south, where we are here today in the Dalesford area, the upper catchments of North Central, all the way up to the lower floodplain areas of the Avoca Plains and Loddon Plains. The program has had about 9 crews at any one time operating on the ground with support staff as well working in the office to help administer and set up programs on the ground and projects throughout the region. Everything from weed control, flood debris removal to fencing. So in terms of diversity, I think this program's just about covered it all.
I guess some of the ones that stand out, they've been involved in the Gunbow Kundrook walking track, a reinstatement of that after the recent January flooding. We've also been involved in some community projects. Example would be the McCorma Recreation Reserve, which was also flood affected. And obviously working with landowners, land managers who've also flood affected. A lot of it was removal of damaged fencing, reinstating some fencing. So yeah, a wide variety of projects, and I think it's been a great interest to the crews also.
This whole landscape was almost completely underwater, apart from the few rises where there's trees around. It was a very large impact for this landscape, but at the same time, the landholders in this landscape are very resilient, and to have PREP crews in the landscape actually doing work to make the landscape look better and make the landscape a much nicer and resilient place for the future just adds to that.
But there was wind damage that came with the floods.
That's
and that
right.
was, I guess, it softened the banks, and so a few big trees came down, which
And they
felt very alarming.
Yeah. There's a drainage line along there
Leading into the creek,
leading
yeah.
into the creek, and that was all clogged with hawthorns and damsons and all sorts of stuff. Crew came in and did all the hand cutting of this hawthorn, dragging the stove. Dreadful job to do because it's all spiny and horrible stuff. I think the thing that's worth noting about this kind of project is it may only be over a fairly small section here, but lots of people see it, and lots of people get the idea that you can improve things, you can get better, you can get rid of some of the weeds, some of the harbour. I think it's really good to develop that kind of thing.
It was just a massive blackberries and broom and every weed you could possibly imagine, willows. They brought in a crew and took out the willows and have planted 4,500 native seedlings, and it's just been phenomenal. It's been like waving a magic wand.
The community's generally been very appreciative of the work we've done, particularly for some of the landholders downstream from Bridgewater. We've had the opportunity to go onto private property and get rid of flood debris, and all in all they've had a very positive approach to what we've been able to do for them. It's a great scope of getting some qualifications in areas of natural resource management, and look, for people who really want to get out there and enjoy the outdoors, get to know the background of some of the localities within the region of the catchment, you couldn't do better, honestly. It's a great place to be.
I mean, if you get a really good crew together and you can achieve so much, yeah, it's hard work. Or one of the crew people that I was working with earlier on said, what other job can you go around in the middle of summer and work and you're along rivers and streams.
You're outside, you're working with a bunch of blokes who like working outside. There's always great things to see and to do and to learn. It's fantastic work. If you like working outdoors with plant control, building pathways, it's just fantastic.
We've worked in some beautiful places. It's been a real privilege. We get to see places that the general public don't. It's been wonderful. I think one of the most rewarding things we did was removing a lot of tyres from a pit in a ground over at Riola. The man who owned that land was such a lovely, gracious sort of person.
We had a large rain event. It was 10 inches in about 4 days, which really made a lot of water flow down the gullies, which we had tyres there, which we put there for erosion there. It dislodged them and carried a lot downstream and into our neighbours' paddocks. We were tearing our hair out to know how to approach the problem, and we were fortunate enough to be able to attract funding through the CMA with the Flood Recovery Grant, and they came back with a proposition that they could get crews to come out to our property to help pick up the tyres which were dislodged, and the ones that were remaining still in the gullies be picked up. It's hard, hot work, and the tyres are heavy and dusty, and the crews that came, I honestly never heard anybody complain about the task ahead of them there. It was a mammoth task, lifting tyres perpetually, lifting onto trailers, carting them up the hill and unloading them. And it's a credit to the workers and the team managers and the CMA for organising it there to be able to pick those tyres up. And nobody understands the relief from our family for the help that we were given.
More than 186 on-ground projects were completed by FREP, which included 1,483 hectares of weed control, 138 hectares of rabbit control, 123 kilometres of fencing removed, repaired or constructed, and 31,000 native vegetation tube stock planted. Additionally, approximately 50,000 hazardous used tyres were removed from gullies, resulting in a better environmental outcome in the case of future flood events.
I think everybody gets something different out of it, so I guess if you asked others, they'd probably say different things to me, but yeah, it's been really worthwhile.
So you go home and you look through different eyes at what your actual ground setting is and your landscape is, and you've got a different appreciation of what's there and what you haven't got.
It's just wonderful to have a crew of people who know what they're doing, the backup of the Catchment Management Authority. For a small group like us, it's just been an enormous amount of help. We couldn't possibly have achieved what's been achieved here without that help.
I think these programs and the way that the FREP crews have interacted and actually got out onto properties and been communicating with landholders and getting things done has been really positive. And the fact that it is more than just a public land or a trust for nature land exercise, that it is actually across the community and engaged in the community, is really important to actually make people feel like they are part of the landscape and that they are actually part of something bigger, which is really, really important. I think it's really good.
Good guys there, mate. And some good ladies too.
Yes, there was. There were ladies there, and
Yeah.
they helped in and pitched in and did the same amount of work, which is excellent. Now, I couldn't complain if I had plenty of money and I employed a whole lot of them because they deserve it, the way they hopped in, because it wasn't a very pleasant task. The weather conditions being warm like it was there, but they kept at it, and as I said, nobody complained about doing the job. They were only happy to help us out, and we were most appreciative of their efforts.